Today we are going to make New York deli tuna salad. You have loved all the other deli recipes we've made. This one seems simple on paper, but there are a couple techniques and tricks that will allow you to get it to taste exactly like a deli. Here are the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. All right, New York deli tuna salad. I worked in a few delis. You guys know this. If you've been watching this channel, you know we've done a bunch of the deli potato salad, mac salad, coleslaw, chicken salad. And I will say that some recipes like coleslaw, mac are like the same everywhere. They just don't change. But tuna salad is one that some places will make it a little bit different. I think this is like the best basic one. All right, so I am using Bumblebee. These are 5-ounce cans. Delis will often use the chunk light. They'll use, you know, if it's like a fancy deli, maybe they'll do half of the solid albacore, then they'll do half of the chunk light. Chunk light is just, it's like mashed already. We're gonna mash this anyway, so it's not a big deal if you use all chunk light. I have albacore here, they were on sale. We're gonna do 4 cans here, which is gonna be enough for about 4 people for this recipe. I have 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Okay, that is something that I really like to put in there. It's not gonna be overly soy saucy. You're not even gonna notice it. It will add an oomph to it. That's good. I have 2 tablespoons of sweet relish. That's kind of another one of those secrets. I have 1 teaspoon of celery salt. I'm not saying use a stick of celery or a rib of celery or a medium onion. I want you to use the exact amount that I'm saying here. So it's gonna be a half a cup of finely diced celery and a half a cup of finely diced onion. We have mayo, Hellmann's mayo. Delis, all delis will use the thicker mayo. It's called like decorator mayo, caterer mayo. Often it's not Hellmann's, it'll just be a generic brand. It makes it really thick, so it's almost like a paste. Don't worry about it though. I do recommend you use Hellmann's and not Duke's. Definitely don't use Miracle Whip, okay? Use Hellmann's. That's gonna be what tastes like a New York deli. Secret ingredient here, we might not need it. This is just some crackers, some whatever. You can use Ritz, you can use bread. If it's too wet, this can dry it up very quickly. You want it to be kind of pasty where it doesn't fall off of your sandwich. And speaking of the sandwich, we're going to use rye bread, and then we're also going to use the quintessential New York deli roll, okay? They're called hard rolls, but they're not. They're more the lines of soft. Many of you have asked me about a recipe for this. I'm working on it. It's proving difficult to make. There's nobody on the internet that has one. Tomato, if you like, on it, and then I have some American cheese, Boar's Head, Land O'Lakes, whatever you like, whatever your fancy is. You can also use cheddar or Swiss if you want to make it real fancy. Before I exit here, I just want to clarify, we're going to make a tuna melt with this. If you don't want a tuna melt, then you're not going to use the cheese, most likely. Though you could not melt it and it'll still be fine. But that's what the cheese and the bread are for, a tuna melt. 1 celery rib. You know, this is something that you can actually put this in a food processor because you want it to be fairly thin. Like you could go even thinner than I'm doing this. All right, so I'm guessing that's probably a half a cup there, but I want you to do exactly a half a cup. If you have gigantic celery like I have, it will only take 1 rib. Okay, and then I just have an onion that I have from yesterday because we definitely didn't need that huge onion. Really important, drain the heck out of this. Now listen, if you don't do it too well right now, you're gonna have an opportunity the next day to drain it. And that is the single biggest factor of whether your tuna salad is gonna taste anything like a deli or not, is if you put it in the refrigerator overnight. It's more important than anything else. Because often, like, you think of tuna as this like easy thing, you're just gonna open up a can of tuna, you're gonna mix it up, and then you say, it tastes nothing like the deli down the street. It tastes nothing like that deli. I'm using the same ingredients. It's just because they're letting it sit. You can just open your can all the way and just squeeze the heck out of it. Okay, so now take your well-drained cans and just add them into a large bowl. All right, so I'm gonna add in the sweet relish, that's 2 tablespoons. And remember, you can fool around with these amounts. If it's not sweet enough to your liking, you can add more. You know, this is actually one of the few deli salad recipes that, from what I remember, is they don't put sugar in. So, because sugar is in almost everything in a deli case in massive quantities. Okay? It's just how it is. All right, breaking out the most important change on this show. You got to get in here, and we want to essentially turn this tuna into like nothing. I almost kind of get my hand in there, and I just start like this, and that really mashes it. The goal is to really have no pieces of tuna, like none. You want this to be almost like a cohesive thing. If you did a really good job, like I did, it will be very flaky. Let this sit for about 10 or 15 minutes to just absorb the other flavors, and then we will mix our mayo in. 1 to 1 1/4 cups of mayo right now. That should be good for now. All right, so I'm gonna mix this all in here, and again, you could break out a glove and do it again, but just get it thoroughly incorporated. You're not really gonna be able to tell here how dry it is or whatnot. You're gonna be able to tell the next day. Just adding a little bit of bread, like crackers or breadcrumbs, just canned breadcrumbs, you know, store-bought breadcrumbs. It will just dry it, it'll suck it up immediately, because you want it to be like that. You don't want it to fall off the sandwich. I got white pepper. It doesn't, if you don't have white pepper, just use black pepper. It's about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So if you want more celery seed, all that, I would probably wait till the next day, because all this stuff is the flavors are gonna amplify, they're gonna increase. The single most important thing that you can do is cover it well and get it in the fridge. Overnight, I recommend, if you can't do it overnight, at least get it in there for like 4 or 6 hours till it gets nice and cold, but really do it overnight. Okay, it's overnight. It really is overnight. Now, I took a page from Emeril and the Food Network and all those other shows. This is the one I just made, okay, obviously. And this is the one that's been in the fridge overnight. So what we want to do here is, you can see there's definitely moisture down here. If it was really wet, then I would say you got to drain it. Like, take a strainer, drain it. We did this for the chicken salad. This is not wet enough to do that, but we will add a couple crackers, and it's going to stiffen it up. Before I put the crackers in, I just want to show you, this might be completely fine for you, and that's fine for a lot of people. We'll just put a couple crackers in there. Perfect.
Wow.
Yep, that's exactly what I wanted to happen. Now listen, you could start with like maybe not all of them. Now I'm gonna mix this in, see if it stiffens it up. It's gonna absorb all of the liquid that's like outstanding in the bowl. And you know, you could use saltines, Ritz crackers, anything like that. Just like this. Now look, at this point, you can mix in more mayo. And we normally, the next day, I always need to put in another 1/4 cup, sometimes up to 1/2 cup. That's what the recipe says, up to 1/2 cup. That is so good. The onion comes through much more now. The celery, a little bit more salt actually. This is outstanding. There's a way to make everything good, better, best. The trick with these salads is just overnight, then remix, drain, then remix, and then season. Sandwich making 101, you never put tomato and cheese together, though sometimes you have to. For this one, if you want to have cheese on both sides of the bread, there's nothing else going to be here except for the tuna. You're going to have to do that. Or you could just sacrifice it and just do the cheese on one side of the bread.
Why is it that the tomato and the cheese shouldn't touch?
They slide. It slides, and then when you bite it, it just goes and it like flies out. But you know, look, sometimes rules are meant to be broken. Let's cut our tomato. I'm gonna toast the bread. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of oil. You can do butter too, but I don't want it to be too much here. Olive oil and a little brush. So just a touch, okay? Just a little touch on both sides. Just about a minute or two per side, just to get it a little bit toasty, and then we'll lay our cheese, broil it, and it'll be done. And it'll be great. It's gonna be great. Look, perfect. That's all I want. Just a little bit of toasted action. Not too much. It's another 30 seconds. Got my broiler on. We'll do one, like I guess, the more traditional way so the cheese doesn't hit, so we'll do a couple slices on it. Broiler, minute, 2, 3, just don't incinerate it, but we want it to get nice and melty. Be right back. So let's do a little deli wrap for James, because James isn't gonna be back for a long time. I'll show you how to do a deli wrap. So look, take these two pieces together, like this. Turn down, fingers like this. 1, 2, under. Now everything is contained in there. Now you can cut. But that's what you would do there, like this. So one more piece of paper, wrap it again. You could also use a piece of foil now and wrap it. That would be a good thing to do as well. The taste tester is here for the tuna melt.
I really like the tuna salad. I like the rye bread. I don't like the cheese with it.
Really?
Yeah. Instead of cheese, just put lettuce on it. Like,
well, yeah, listen, if you don't like a tuna melt, and James didn't know he was getting a tuna melt either.
so this isn't like a regular tuna sandwich. This is a tuna melt.
Tuna melts are popular in the deli. Not so popular. I would probably, when I worked in the deli, I would probably make one tuna melt for every 20 regular tuna sandwiches. So
Yeah.
they weren't too popular, but I think when they're done right, and I thought this was done right, I think it's really good.
It's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but I think a regular tuna sandwich is better. The tuna itself is delicious.
Okay.
I really like it. I'm just not a big fan of the whole tuna melt thing.
That's fine.
I really do like the tuna salad.
All right, well, why don't you do 2 grades then? Grade the tuna melt and grade the tuna salad.
For the tuna melt, because it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm gonna give it an 8.
What about if it was 3 hours ago, right? When it was hot, like the cheese was like just melted.
Oh yeah, then I'll probably give it higher. It tastes like right now, since it's not like melted and it's not hot, it tastes like you just like put tuna salad on some like toasted rye bread and like slapped a piece of American cheese on it.
I hate defending myself on camera here, but in my defense, this bread isn't toasted anymore, really, because it's 3 hours later.
I'm actually gonna give the tuna salad a 9.5.
Thank you.
If the tuna salad wasn't good, I'll probably give it like a 5.
You know what I think? And I think you can tell what he thinks too when he's eating that whole entire sandwich. All right, we'll take it. Thank you, James. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, can you subscribe? If you haven't followed us on Instagram, please do. That is the thing that is a goal of ours, to raise that Instagram numbers. On Instagram, I put stories up all the time, and I put little short videos of these longer videos, if you're into that sort of thing. James, can you please get off the granite counter before you break it? Thank you.
I thought he was gonna fall in the sink.